We're making a blanket today with Devin Tarrant from Applied Fitness Solutions in Plymouth, Michigan. Devin, thanks for being here and making a blanket with me.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
Have you ever made a blanket before?
Well, because of you, yes. In the last 3 years now, yes, I have.
Yes.
Plenty of them, I feel like.
Yeah, I think Applied Fitness Solutions has made over 300 blankets now in the last 3 years. They're a repeat event. Every year we go down to Plymouth and just rock it out with all the members at AFS on a Saturday. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So sometimes I have to explain this to people, but I trust that you understand what we're doing here while we make this blanket. Just tying double knots, right?
Well, I could always use a little lesson from the pro.
So basically, when I'm telling this to elementary school students, I always tell them it's like two rabbits who cross. One rabbit jumps over the other and through the hole, and then they just do it again. Two rabbits cross, one jumps over the other through the hole, and then we pull it, and there's a double knot.
Yeah.
I have no idea if the rabbit metaphor works, but it works for me. And so there you go.
Someone was trying to teach me a really complex knot the other day. I don't know if I did one of them, but I was trying on every single one.
Was it at
around.
the event?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were like, if you do it this way, it lays flat, and the colors look the best. And I was like, how many blankets have you made? But it was a lot.
Yeah. Hey, people are awesome. There's a ton of ways to tie knots. That's the rabbit way is the way I know.
Yeah.
And so that's what I stick with.
Just worked out here, man. So
yeah,
I'm
there
good
you
with
go.
it.
Awesome. So as we make a blanket here, just excited to chat, get to learn more about AFS, the beginnings, because I know you've been with it for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
Just learn about the journey of Devin, the journey of AFS, and add some value to anyone that decides to watch or listen to this conversation. So why don't we start with like a core belief? Let's anchor this conversation around something that you believe in a sentence. If we could plant an idea into someone's head, what would that idea or belief be?
I would say, well, it's going to be a long way to get to it, kind of. It's not going to be a one-sentence thing, if that's okay.
Yeah, we'll allow it.
Okay.
Judges? Yep.
I would say don't wait. And when I say don't wait, I don't mean like what usually people are like, okay, I'm going to go do with the triple of a lifetime. I'm not going to wait. I'm going to go do that thing while I'm young and healthy and able. It's like, yeah, that too. But when I say don't wait, like what I witnessed when Fleece and Thank You comes out to AFS Plymouth is I see so many people smiling, so many people happy to be there, people making new connections, people spending their time doing something that's giving them fulfillment. And when I say don't wait, I mean so let's say I'm a normal millennial and my goal is to make $1 million by this age so I can retire and have this thing, this many kids. It's like, that's not wrong. It's not wrong, but a lot of people are stressed their entire life because they haven't given themselves permission to have the feeling of fulfillment until they accomplish those things, you know, where I'm like, every time we make blankets at AFS Plymouth, I have that feeling. I feel like I made $1 million that day, you know? So I'm like, man, emotions don't come to you from the outside. There's something that are always inside of you, and you can do things that allow them to surface, but I can't take an emotion, like insert it into your chest or your head and make you feel that thing. I can say something that can elicit the emotion, good or bad, and it can pop up, but I think we have the power to not wait and actually go down there, find that happiness, that joy, whatever you want to cultivate, and work on bringing that to the surface and kind of living as an expression of that. I think I told you before the podcast here, like pursuing happiness isn't wrong, but I would rather live as an expression of my joy or happiness rather than constantly pursue it. And I think that when I say don't wait, that's what I'm kind of talking about, is allow yourself to have that feeling through your life by doing little things like making a blanket. Man, this is such a cool thing that you can do in 30 minutes, you know, and really change a life. So that would be the theme I would go for today.
Don't wait. And you said some really key things along there that I'm sure we'll unpack along the way. One that stuck out to me was some people just haven't given themselves the permission to feel that joy. That's a wild concept, and I hope that we can touch on that throughout this conversation and find areas in your story and your journey where maybe you did give yourself that permission, and maybe sometimes when you haven't, to really give us those examples along the way. Tell us where we're at today. Like, who is Devin today? Where does he work? What does he do? What does he like? Who is he today? And then we'll start the beginning and fill in the gap.
So today, my name is Devin Tarrant. I'm a owner of Applied Fitness Solutions in Plymouth. It's a fitness facility, and we have 3 locations: Ann Arbor, Plymouth, and Rochester Hills. I'm just the owner at the Plymouth location. Have some responsibilities going back and forth between in terms of leadership stuff and doing some presentations and staff development, but I'm probably 90% of the time in the Plymouth location. Right now, I'm perfectly happy understanding that I don't know much. Meaning, like, dude, 5 years ago when I first opened my own gym, I thought I knew way more than I know today, because I was, I had a lot of confidence without clarity in terms of I had read a bunch of books. This is how you do it. This is how you run a business. This is how you manage people. This is how you cultivate joy and a good culture. And then you hit the ground running, trying to run a business, even a nonprofit, doesn't matter. Trying to get everyone on the same page and getting all these things done. It's like, just because I read it doesn't mean it's going to work for me. And so I kind of embraced ignorance and, as I got into my 30s and realized that I could spend my entire life trying to learn as much as I possibly could, and I would never scratch the surface of the amount of stuff there is to learn out there. So that's why when I'm saying don't wait, it's like I can just embrace the experience of life and live it to the fullest, But right now I'm a fitness facility owner. My biggest goal is to help my team grow. I kind of think about my team as a garden a little bit, and it's kind of a cheesy metaphor, but it's like the best thing a garden can do for a gardener is grow, because if the plants grow strong and healthy, they produce the best fruit, and like the fruit is what we are able to offer the community and our members, and make the world a healthier place. And the better the people are that are doing that for the community, the better the whole business does. So like my job is just to cultivate the plants and the people and make sure the culture is where it should be and things like that. So I'm not doing a ton with fitness now, which is kind of weird being a gym owner, because I'm managing people, not really teaching classes, but it's all good, man. I really like where I'm at. I have a great team. Feel very blessed.
The irony in part of what you said is that there actually is a garden inside AFS
that's
Plymouth.
True. That's true.
And so you are a gym owner and a gardener in all of the best senses of the word, and that is amazing. So take me back to where did Devin start? Like, where'd you grow up, born? How did you get? Where was high school? Where was college? What was the job scene like?
Yeah, so I grew up in a small town called Bath, Michigan.
B-A-T-H, Bath?
B-A-T-H. Yep, it's right by East Lansing.
Can you give us the Michigan map?
Yep, Michigan map. So if you're watching this, it's right in the middle.
Michigan map.
Right here.
Right in the middle. Right in the middle of the palm.
Yep, by East Lansing.
All right.
Yep. And
Spartan territory.
Spartan territory. I am a Michigan State fan because of that. I didn't go to Michigan State, but my whole family is State fans. A lot of them went to Michigan State. So
are you allowed to live in Bath and not be a Michigan State fan?
I don't think, at least not in my house. Like if I wore a Michigan sweatshirt home, my dad would leave me on the porch until I took it off, type thing. Where it's like I don't really have an allegiance to either. I root for State because it's the fun rivalry thing to do. But it is what it is. So, but I grew up there. I have two sisters, one older, one younger. I grew up actually in the house my great grandma was born in, which is pretty cool. So my family's been in the same spot, literally. Like, I think my family's been in that house for like 100 years.
That's
my
wild.
mom and dad still live there. So
wild.
It's kind of weird, but I went to the same small school my mom and dad both went to. This is
Bath Middle School?
Bath Elementary, Middle School, and High School. Yep. Graduated with about 55 kids, so it was small. But from a really young age, I wanted to get into fitness, and I think it was because I had this skewed perception of the world that, like, oh, if you can help people get fit, they're happier, And so I want to help make people happier, and I like at a young age thought fitness equals happiness. I'm going to help people do that thing, and never really questioned it again. Just kind of followed that blindly.
Family was in fitness, saw it on a commercial, read it in a book.
I think it was just observing. Like my sports brought me a lot of joy, but when I would see like even just family friends, the ones that were more fit and did more things and did more hiking trips and were biking and doing all these things, they just seemed like happier people. And so, like, at a young age, I'm like, I want to be with people that are happier, and I want to be able to spread that thing. And I thought about, PT school or med school, that type of thing, as you're getting close to college age or even in college. But it's like, fitness is different because people are coming to you asking for help, and then you get to serve them exactly that thing and get to know them along the way and stay with them long term. Whereas if you're treating a patient, whether it's physical therapy or a doctor, it's not to say you can't have a relationship, because you absolutely do, but a lot of times they're in PT because of an accident they had and they got prescribed 12 PT sessions. They don't want to be there. It's interrupting their schedule. They're just annoyed with it, and then once they're done with it, you don't see them again. So I'm like, fitness is kind of the way I want to go because of that. I like the personal relationships I can develop with people. So
awesome. So you go Bath Elementary, Bath Middle School, Bath High School. Fitness is on top of mind. What happens after that?
So I went to Aquinas College.
Nice.
In Grand
West
Rapids.
Side. Yep.
Grand Rapids.
The Knights, the Aquinas,
the Saints.
the Saints,
Yep,
Calvin's
big old-
Knights.
Yeah, it's okay. Just a big Saint
To
Bernard.
all
Well, it was
Aquinas
a step
people, I'm
up.
sorry.
It was a step up because we were the Bath Bees, the Bath Fighting
Nice.
Bees. And I tried to explain to a friend once that was a pretty scary mascot. Because I was
Yeah.
like, hey man, if you're in the car and there's a bee in the car, like you're freaking out trying to get the windows down.
Yeah.
He just looks at me and goes, yeah, but he was the owl that Eagles. He's like, if you're in your car and there's an eagle in your car, that's a lot scarier than a bee. I'm like, dang it, dude, you're right. Just about every mascot would be scarier in your car than a bee, so I have nothing to stand on. But, yeah, it was the Aquinas.
I went to the Shamrocks.
Oh, you did?
That's
Okay.
not very scary.
Yeah, we had the Shamrocks in our league in high
Yeah.
school. So, yeah, they were our rivals with the least scary mascot. We were
Yeah.
pollinating flowers, and they were
Yeah.
hoping
just
for good
watching.
luck. Yeah. But, yeah, at Aquinas, I actually did a couple sports. Did basketball and track there.
Nice.
Just 'cause I wanted to stay active. Again,
You can't see it. He's very tall.
very
How tall?
6'6".
6'6". I
6
tried
foot
to
6.
give him a fleece and thank you T-shirt one time, and he said, "Dude, I appreciate it.
I did
T-shirts
love
just
it.
don't fit me because
Yeah.
I've got a real long torso."
Very short. My belly button showed a lot in those like 5K volunteer, shirts and stuff like that. So,
All right, so basketball and
track
and track.
well, field because I
Field.
threw like disc, hammer,
Gotcha.
javelin. I did a little bit of high jump and stuff like that. But yeah,
were you on the high jump to help put the bar up, or did you actually get to jump?
Dude, I had to
Both.
actually jump. Yeah, both. But yeah, I mean, just athletics was a huge part through college, and then after college, I started looking for fitness jobs, knowing I wanted to start my own gym. But I needed to get my foot in the door in the industry somewhere, get a mentor, learn those things, and that's how I found Mike Stack. Actually, it's kind of like looking for a mentor. My business partner now, for those of you who aren't watching, his name's Mike Stack. He started Applied Fitness Solutions about 2 years before I joined him. And it was
What
kind
year
of
is that?
2007.
So you graduate from Aquinas in
So it was 3 years because I graduated in 2010 and got the
Yep.
job immediately after.
Okay.
And he had started in like late 2007. So
in Ann Arbor.
In Ann Arbor,
Yeah.
yep. And it was still like in a storage unit, like it cement floors, huge set of dumbbells, like really industrial when I first started with them. So I just knew this guy was building something pretty cool, and he was one of the smartest exercise physiologists I'd had a chance to talk to.
How'd you meet him?
Just from sending out resumes.
Wow.
Honestly, yeah, I lucked out, man. I lucked out in the classic story of like Monster.com, putting your resume out there back in the day and
Yeah.
like just getting the right call. So
Awesome.
it all just worked out from there. But it's been 10 years now. We're in our 10th year of, being together as business partners. So
Wow.
it's crazy, man.
So you graduate and you meet Mike just by sending up a resume. And how many people are at AFS at that time? Is it called AFS? at
Yeah,
that
it was
time?
called Applied Fitness Solutions.
Okay.
The logo was terrible then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did
so
it
that
look
had
like?
It looked like a Chinese. Nate actually took it to the mall and had people tell us what they thought it was, and the number one thing was a sushi restaurant. It looked like a Chinese or Japanese symbol of some sort,
Wow.
or a yoga studio was another
Yeah.
thing, but no one said fitness or circuit training or strength or anything like
Yeah.
that. So
And how many people does he have on the team at that time?
it was just him and Jared, someone working the front desk part-time kind of, and then me. So there was 4 of us literally, and then there was maybe 150, 200 clients.
Yeah.
It's pretty small. Now we have probably like 4,000 clients and about
Wow.
65 team members between the 3 locations. So
Wild.
yeah, it's pretty nuts.
And that's 2010. So you
Yeah.
guys get going in Ann Arbor. Mm-hmm. And at what point do you say, was Plymouth second? Plymouth
was second,
At
yep.
what point do you say, hey, let's do this Plymouth thing?
2014 is
4
when
years
started,
later,
we
okay.
started having that conversation because Mike, he grew really slow from 2007 to 2010, and then when he added Jared and I, the guy who owns Rochester, that's when we started blowing up. And the 3 of us were working, you know how it is, dude, when you start something and you're motivated and you're excited and you're
For
building
sure.
something cool
Got
in the
the
world.
fire.
We're working the hours of 6 or 7 people thinking
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh. So we're like, we can blow this thing up. But then as we start to hire people and realize like, oh, they're probably going to work 40 hours a week, it started to slow down a little bit. But yeah, about 2014, we decided to pull the trigger on Plymouth, and we opened that in February 2015.
So Jared Freeman
Yes,
is
Jared Freeman.
he was there in 2010 when you joined up.
Yeah, he was there about 6 months before me.
Okay.
Yep.
If you guys don't know Jared, I'm sure we'll be able to get a great conversation with Jared at some point.
Yeah.
Jared was at Make a Blanket Day 2019 in Rochester, the epic Guinness World Record.
Mm-hmm.
If you've seen any footage from that event, you'll see Jared with his shirt off pounding stakes into the ground during this epic storm when the tent looked like it was maybe going to fall over. We don't know how his shirt got off, but hey, he saved the day. He helped us pound stakes back in. So that's awesome. Okay, so we
Yeah.
decide 4 years after you get started, we're going to do this Plymouth thing. And what happens next? Did they just say, hey, Devin, good luck? Like, why don't you go find us something?
No, we have a business partner he's our CFO. He's an entrepreneur. He's done a ton of commercial real estate and things like that. So he helped us find the space. I don't think Mike and I would have been able to do that on our own, just with where we were at. Not only like securing a loan at that time, but like finding the real estate, having those conversations. Like there was a lot of learning that had to happen on our part,
For sure.
Still, but yeah, when we got the building, we did have to strip down this huge old Bally's building, strip it down to structural walls, and rebuild the whole thing from the ground up, pretty much. And it was a little rough.
Yeah, Bally's was used to be like a fitness chain.
Yep. They went
anymore.
bankrupt a few times. Then LA Fitness finally took over after their third bankruptcy, I think, and
Gotcha.
they just wanted to get rid of that facility because they wanted a bigger one in town. So we were able to get that building pretty cheap.
Nice.
We just had to do a lot of work on it.
Was there any thought at the time, like, ooh, there was a gym here before and it didn't make it? Like, is this a bad idea to put this here? Like,
for sure, especially because it wasn't just that Bally's. It never did well right there. There's a few restaurants like right off the highway there where we are in Plymouth that never did well, and there's always vacant real estate there for lease. And I was asking a realtor that, and he's like, "No, I think it was just bad management, bad, but I was nervous, but at the same time, I'm like, man, this is my dream, so I don't want to not do it. And so I kind of just had to jump off the ledge on that one and say, you know what, if we're good enough, if you build it, they will come,
right.
type thing. So it was an accountability tool.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you start the Plymouth location. Is this around the same time that you guys met Nate, or when does Nate come in?
So Nate was with us about 2 or 3 years before Plymouth. He's another huge part why we were. So when I say Jared and I were the trainers at the time, but then we also added Nate about 2 years after myself, and Nate's our marketing and branding guy for those people that don't know for all 3 locations. But he really took us to a new level by changing the logo, changing our messaging, changing our website, doing consultations differently, explaining our services differently to the public, just to connect with people in a different way. So he's really a huge part of us growing like we did, for sure.
And you met Nate. He was working for Monster.
Yeah, he's cousins with Jared.
He's
cousins with Jared. You never know it by looking at those two, but
Nate is what, super tall,
6'4",
reddish hair,
red hair,
and
Jared's is 5. Well, he's 5'8", 5'9". So that's not
Jared
short.
and I think we're the same height. We're 5'9" in the morning, and that's all that matters. And as the day goes on, our spine compresses.
People only call Jared short because he's always hanging out with Nate and I,
right.
who are 6'4" and 6'6". So it's like we're the weird ones. It's not Jared, but when he's walking in between us in the middle, it just looks kind of funny. So he's got the short end of the stick there, literally. But yeah, man.
So all 3 of you decide to room together because you're doing this thing.
Yep, we were trying to save money. We weren't paying ourselves much or anything doing the AFS thing. So we all lived together in a house in Ypsi, and we did that for like 5 years. It was the classic entrepreneur kind of getting something off the ground, pinching pennies, working open to close, 7 days a week, all that kind of stuff, man. But we really felt like we were making a huge difference in these people's lives, so it didn't feel like that at the time. It didn't feel like a grind. It didn't feel like we were working open to close. It just felt like we were getting to help a lot of people make friends along the way.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah.
If you could give yourself advice, if you could go back to that time and give yourself advice, is there something that you would tell that Devin who's living in the Ypsi house and building the business?
I would have told myself actually what my job is, pay attention to my body. Because what was happening was like we were working so hard and the stress was building just as we were growing the business that I wasn't paying attention to like how I was sleeping, how I was eating, just not eating the highest quality food possible. Like not terrible food, but just eating on the fly, not eating enough.
Right.
Some days not eating at all, just like that type of thing. And I eventually got a back injury just from like not sleeping, overworking, doing all these things. So that's still something I'm dealing with now, and it's been 6 years or so, 5 or 6 years, and I'm still very young for that type of thing. I still think I'll be able to get over it 100%. It's just taking time. So if I go back in time now, I would say work hard, but pay attention to your body. Take breaks when you need it, because a rest, for some reason in our culture, man, I'm either feeling guilty that I'm not doing enough, or I'm completely stressed out because I'm trying to do everything. Like you never find that middle ground. So that's kind of the point in my life where I'm allowing myself to not wait, feel content right now. Give yourself that feeling, give yourself permission to feel that way right now every once in a while. It doesn't mean get complacent and stop doing stuff. It's just like you could always have a task list that never gets finished ever.
Right.
And you could always feel guilty for not doing enough. So it's like, just be content right now.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to feel that.
Because that task list, like, feels endless. And it feels like I could go sit in a room and work on this, and 3 days later I'd still have a list. Like, if you're giving yourself this advice and going back, what does that break actually look like? For someone who at the time was like, dude, I'm straight grinding. Like, we got to be up. We got to be at the gym. We got to be training.
Yeah.
I got to do it again tomorrow. What would a break have actually looked like?
I would have actually started a yoga and meditation practice sooner in my life. Like, I've been doing that.
Personally, you would have started doing yoga and meditation.
Because that's what really has allowed me to, like, kind of tap into my body and allow myself to sit, take some breaths. Because even when you're breathing, dude, if you can't take a deep breath, your body's blocking it. Like, you're holding stress somewhere. Like, if you can't expand your diaphragm, like, you're breathing shallow, like, there's some sort of stress in your body. So it's like you kind of roll your eyes at the meditation thing when you're younger, and you're like, oh yeah, just sit there and breathe with your eyes closed. Like, that's I don't need to do that. I feel fine. But it's like, no, when you actually sit there and pay attention, it's crazy what you find out about yourself, you know. And there are risks to meditation too, because people do unlock some things. So I'm not saying like it's for everyone, because it's certainly not in some cases. But for me, it really brought some awareness to my back, my hips, my neck, all these little things. I'm like, man, I'm holding tension there, and I didn't even know.
Yeah.
It's going right through it.
So you would have started doing yoga and meditation during that grind time.
That would have been how I would have handled the break. It's like, okay, instead of just lifting 6 days a week and trying to do this, like, I would probably lifted 2 or 3 days a week, did maybe a day of cardio, and then got 1 or 2 yoga sessions in.
Yeah.
So, like, it would just modified what I was doing probably.
What does eating bad for a fitness trainer look like? Because we
gosh.
got to admit, there's going to be a stereotype that, dude, he's in the fitness industry. Eating bad might be way different for him than
that's
someone
what's
else.
crazy, man, is like, as a trainer, it gets a little annoying because anytime you go out to dinner, everyone's like, oh, the trainer's here, you're going to get
a bowl of kale.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, no, I'm still just a human being too. Like, and so, like, you know how it is. Like, it's just that thing. But I think trainers probably eat worse than the average person, because one thing I've noticed is, like, we could have a bake sale and make a couple grand. We'll try to raise some money for Fleece and Thank You. How about this Christmas? Because we get so much stuff that we could probably sell it, because like, our break room looks like an overflowing candy shop, because our clients all make a bunch of stuff for their family parties. They make it for us too, but all the leftovers are like, oh, they work out at the gym, they can have that stuff. So we get all of that, and so we just have to avoid it. But eating bad for me personally is, at this point in my life, eating something that I know is going to make me feel worse.
Yeah.
Like, again, going back to paying attention, like, so many people are asking me, like, what should I eat? What should I eat? Should I eat this? Should I eat that? And, like, my advice as a fitness professional most of the time at this point is, like, how do you feel when you eat that? Oh, I feel terrible. I wouldn't eat
there
that.
You go.
Then,
yeah.
You know? And it's like, people are waiting for this secret thing. It's like, no, journal it, write it down. And eventually over time, you can kind of narrow down, like, these foods make me feel the best. I feel the most energy about an hour after I eat. Or if I have a heavy day of thinking and planning, I'd rather eat this way. If I have a day where I'm on the floor and teaching a bunch, I'll probably have more carbohydrates. Like, I modify my life around what I'm doing and my activity levels. And not saying people have to do that, but pay attention. The reason I got to that point was just paying attention to what my body was telling me about how it was feeling.
For sure. That's good advice on go by how you feel after you eat it, because that's a measuring stick that anyone can use for themselves, because you know better than anyone how you feel after you eat something.
And if I feel great eating something specific and I tell you exactly what to eat and you eat the same exact thing, you could feel terrible, man.
Sure.
It just depends on what your gut bacteria is and all that stuff, your genetics, what you eat in your whole life, what you have intolerances to.
Yep.
And so it's like, we have to get out of that mind of, like, this is the right way to eat, this is the wrong way to eat. It's like, if it makes you feel bad, that is the wrong way to eat. If it makes you feel pretty good, it's usually the right way to eat. But you have to be honest with yourself about how it's actually making you feel, because a lot of people are like, well, chocolate makes me feel great. I'm like, for 5 minutes,
right?
And then
not just in the moment.
Pay
how do
attention
you feel after,
to how you feel for the next 6 to 12 hours.
For sure.
Thing.
What's like the have you ever heard of blue zones?
Yeah.
Blue zones, this concept of, like, areas of the world where there's densely populated groups of centenarians, people who have lived to be 100 or more.
Yep.
And one of the commonalities is, like, 15 minutes of low impact exercise a day. Is there a recommendation that you have for someone who comes to you and they say, hey, I don't exercise at all, looking to get started? what do you think that I should be doing daily, whatever it is, to get my minimum amount of exercise in?
Mm-hmm. I wish there was a simple answer to that question, and I'm not trying to skate around it. It's just like our fitness consultations are really to get to know an individual, because if I ask you, what have you done in the past that you've really enjoyed and what have you done in the past that you've really hated, my whole answer to the question you just asked is going to be based on those things.
So it's the same thing as the food then.
Exactly. It's like,
It's
hey,
different for each
if
person.
you absolutely hate circuit training and we have circuit training classes here, I'm not going to tell you to jump into circuit training and just get over it because it's what's best for you. It's like, all right, have you ever done strength training before? No, I haven't tried that. It's like, let's try that. Let's give it a shot, you know? So you really have to try and tailor it to what their expectation is, but also like if they hate the program they're doing, it doesn't matter how motivated they are, eventually that will dwindle, you know? So you have to make sure they're enjoying the mode of exercise. But if someone's saying, I'm not doing anything right now, my first question would be why, you know, because usually the answer this person gives you is like time. I just don't have time for it. And what I try and do in a gentle way is ask them questions that leads them to the answer of understanding that it doesn't matter what you choose to do in your life. At this point, we all have so much stuff going on that if you take on one more thing, you have to sacrifice something on the other end. You can't just keep adding stuff to it. So exercise is one of those things. Like if you make 3 hours a week to exercise, and that's getting to the gym too, driving there, doing the workout, getting home, it's like there's 3 hours of stuff you're going to have to cut out. You know, it doesn't mean you're going to be happy about it, but the beauty in it is you get to choose what those sacrifices are. You can choose the things that, you know, it could be an hour of TV, it could be anything, but it has to be something. You can't just have a three hour free time out of nowhere to start an exercise program. So the first thing we try and get people to do is figure out what you actually like to do. What are you doing now? And then what are the things we need to clear off your schedule to allow this to even happen in the first place for you? And we try and like start super basic like that, because if I just gave you a plan and said, here's what you got to do, it could be bulleted out scientifically and have the perfect exercise plan, the perfect nutrition plan for your height, weight, exercise levels, all that stuff. It doesn't matter though, because it's not tailored to Nick, you know? And so that answer is ask a lot of questions and then start with something.
Sure.
You know?
As opposed to nothing. Take the first step.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Even if that thing is like park at the farthest spot, and when you go
Good
to Meyer,
shout there.
you know,
Good shout there. Yep.
little things like that.
For sure.
Yeah.
They add up. This will be a tougher question, and we talked about this at the Fleece and Thank You event. The fitness industry from the outside looking in seems like a tough place to be with how much new stuff pops up every day. So from the inside, is it the way that it seems from the outside, and what is the strategy that gets allows a gym to rise up to the top to make it through the time of things popping up? And is it actually a trend of right now, are we in a trend where more gyms are popping up, or does it just appear that way maybe to me or to the general public?
Yeah, more gyms are definitely popping up. So I hate throwing statistics out there because you can make them up
we like
left and
stats.
right, but
Yeah.
according to the articles we've read in the industry in general and the things we've done our best to keep our eye on, the fitness industry since like 2014 has grown like at 450% per year in terms of like fitness locations to choose from in a town. And that's like compounding. So like when we had 6 competitors in Ann Arbor in 2007 to 2010, there's now 46 competitors in Ann Arbor. And like that's not an exaggeration. Like that's a real thing. If you actually plotted out how many fitness facilities are in these little industrial parks or even in someone's basement at home where they do personal training, those little things are just popping up everywhere because everyone needs fitness, you know? So there's a place for everything, but the other thing that's competing with that space is the Peloton, the Mirror, any fitness app, you know, the virtual reality stuff's coming in strong, you know, where you can, you know, hold a plank but feel like you're flying, you know, little games like that. It's like that stuff's just going to keep getting better and better. So the fitness experience is going to get cooler and cooler with technology. So the differentiator for us is going to be our community, you know, and it always has been. Don't get me wrong. Like our fitness side of things, I think is great. I'm biased, of course, but our community is where it's at, man. And I think that the more things like Peloton's great. Like that bike is awesome. Like if I had the budget, I'd probably get one for myself right now and do it. But I don't think that's someone's fitness life forever, you know, because you can only do that for so long before you need a community of people or you need some other people working towards a similar goal to you. And so I think we just need to, in the next 2 to 5 years here, as this fitness bubble keeps growing, because eventually it's going to have to pop, if we can just build the strongest possible community through things like Fleece and Thank You and bringing people together, so it's more than just fitness.
For sure.
Our vision for the company, I'm sorry I'm rambling right now, but it's just
No?
the
Love
vision
it.
for the company says nothing about fitness. It's, we want to be a beacon of hope for those looking to live a more fulfilled life. We're more than fitness. We're agents of change. And so we just want to be a community that exists and allows fitness and wellness to happen for our members the best it can in their life where they're at that time. Like, that's all we can be, And so our strategy is to keep making our community stronger, keep listening to them, paying attention to what the world's doing, offering what we can, but not trying to be the one-stop shop and do everything. Because if we try to do everything, we shoot ourselves in the foot. So we're content being, certain training, strength training, yoga, Pilates, those type of things. But we're not going to be doing a bunch of VR stuff and crazy new technology things. It's like people can do that stuff at home, or find a specific location for that. We just want to have a super strong community where people feel safe.
Yeah.
Emotionally and physically.
Right.
So
whether it's fitness or anything, why is community like always going to be a part of like a human want? Why won't we ever get to the day and age where no one leaves their home because my whole life gets lived through VR goggles? And I don't think we'll get there because of human to human connection and stuff. But why do you think community is such an integral part of who we are and what we strive for and kind of always come back to, even though there's shiny new objects like VR goggles and blinking? Why do we come back to community?
I actually don't know the perfect answer to this. I really don't. I've never thought
There's
about it.
There's probably no perfect
I
answer.
enjoy the question a lot because it makes me contemplate. But I'm like, when I think about it, it's like it's human nature to want to share good feelings with other people. Like, you're always striving. Like, how good does it feel to accomplish something? Like, if you were sitting in this room alone and you accomplish something that was a big deal to you, like, let's say you're a kid that's applying for a bunch of colleges and you get your college acceptance letter. It's like, when you're sitting there and you get that thing and you're completely alone, the first thing you want to do is call someone and tell them and share that experience with them. It's just human nature. So, like, that's part of community, is wanting to share those feelings. Like, you can do it with a headset on, and kids are doing it on video games and things like that, but it's really not the same as a hug, a high five, those type of things. It's a feeling that we don't fully understand because I think we take it for granted. And I think the technology we're inventing right now, not to say it's wrong, nothing's necessarily wrong, it's just I don't think we understand how much we're going to be missing human to human interaction in 5 to 10 years from now if things continue to go the way they're going.
Sure.
And so I think it won't go away because we're always going to want to share that feeling, and a phone call is just not going to do that all the time. You want to be with people to do that.
Yep. I used to live in Australia, and calling home here, there was like a 15-hour difference. But one thing that I said when I was there was, man, I'm just going to look so forward to like just getting in the car and driving to see someone physically, because FaceTime, dropped calls, the connecting ... and FaceTime unavailable type things. You see those screens, and eventually that for me just really solidified human to human interaction, community. I think you said two things that are probably really integral to why community. One was this concept of sharing, that something about humans were hardwired to want to share the good and the bad. Yeah. And then two, you talked about feeling safe and that we feel safer in communities.
Yes.
And so
those you feel very vulnerable when you're completely alone.
Yeah, those are two for sure.
Yeah.
Two big parts of it.
It's the thing, man. Think about being lost. Like, if you're completely lost in a town by yourself at night, like, even if you're with a stranger and you felt safer with that stranger, like, that camaraderie is like all you need in that moment. It's like, okay, I still don't know where I am. I still don't know how I'm going to get out of this mess, but at least someone's here with me, you know? Like,
sure.
that, I can't explain that feeling, but it's a very human feeling, and it's not going to go away. So I know the community's not going to go away.
Yep. To keep rolling with this concept, it's like really powerful emotions, love, sadness, etc. A lot of them are these two-way streets. Like, we could put an apple on the table right now, and you could say, man, I love that apple. It's like, yeah, you do, but like, that's not love, because the apple doesn't love you back. The apple's just there. But if it's a human, if it's your girlfriend, if it's your fiance, whatever, it's like, now we're talking about a two-way street.
Yep.
Now we're getting into the outer realms of this community concept of like when it's two ways, back and forth. And who knows where technology goes, but for what we see now, it's like the VR thing, and we're really hitting on VR, but just technology in general, it's lacking maybe real back and forth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I agree 100%, man. When I say VR too, I'm thinking it's like, okay, I'm Devin Tarrant that teaches a fitness class, but you can now put on a headset and work out with Chris Evans in your living room, your favorite Marvel character who's jacked out of his mind.
Right.
And it's like, if you can have that experience, like if I keep trying to compete with the experience people can have, that's the losing battle. So instead of fighting the experience, I'm going to fight the community battle and make sure we have the strongest possible community, you know?
Yep, absolutely.
So, yeah, I agree 100% with what you said, though. And it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
But we're trying to make it go away, I think.
Well, it's like anything, a hammer can be used for good or for bad. And
yeah,
so
I think it's just for
use it the right
convenience.
things.
It's not for... That's the thing. Like, think about where our cars are going. It's like everyone you drive by in the streets texting and driving, or they're on an app. I've seen people go looking at videos on Instagram while driving. It's like it's
scary.
really scary, but it's like, okay, we should probably put some traffic laws in place that have more serious consequences to keep people from wanting to do that. But no, the American way is let's build cars that drive themselves so we can definitely keep doing that thing. It's like we just have to pay attention again to the problems we're trying to solve, because maybe the solution to the driving and texting problem isn't cars that drive themselves. It's give a heavy fine for someone that's texting and driving.
Yeah.
But it's just weird how we think in our culture. We're just trying to make things more convenient, but that's not always a good thing. Life's not supposed to be convenient and comfortable. I think a lot of all the most important lessons I've learned, I don't know about you, have come out of hardship, though.
Sure.
All the most important ones. And sometimes I think I know something until I experience something really bad, and I'm like, now I know.
Yeah.
You know, but if I would have avoided all the hardships, I wouldn't have learned that lesson. So we just got to be careful, I think, as a society of like what we're trying to make convenient for ourselves.
It'd be wild if they made cars to deactivate phones while the car engine's on or something like that. Or the other way around, a car doesn't work when a phone's on. That's like way to one side of the spectrum. We're not about to start talking policy of phones and cars.
That's the problem,
but like
the problem
that would be crazy.
It would be awesome for the safety of humans, but no one would buy that car.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, so again, it just comes back to improve yourself, you know, do the things you know you should be doing. You know, you can't control everyone else, but, you know, I'm not going to text and drive, and just because the car will start driving for me eventually someday, I don't think I'm going to allow myself just to have more screen time.
Yeah.
Because we're just going to fill that with work. That's what I'm saying is like we're just going to fill the commute with work if that's what we do, and we just have to pay attention to that.
For sure.
You know.
We talked at the beginning about don't wait.
Yes.
What in your journey, where's been a time where you felt like you really took that advice, or maybe a time where you said, yeah, I didn't take that advice and I wished that I would have?
I think I'm taking that advice right now. And actually, you know what? That's a perfect question, dude, because after Fleece and Thank You, I went out with a college roommate that I hadn't seen in a while. I went out with him and his wife, and they're really good friends of mine, and I was just coming off a high from that day of like speaking with people. It was just it's always an awesome event.
Quick T, this was awesome because AFS literally rallied in like 6 days. Like sent the page out, 120 blankets in 6 days fundraised for, and then all these amazing humans showed up to make them. It was nuts. So I was feeling the same.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. So I'm at dinner with him, and I'm just talking to him about his career, and you know, and it wasn't because I sit down and say, what are you doing? What do you do for a living? Like he was asking me about that, so I was returning the same questions. But when I was asking him like what he's trying to accomplish, and he's like, man, I just want to retire around like 45, 50 and have some investment properties, and I want to have a pontoon, and I want to have a house that's this big on a lake, and I want to, you know, have, you know, my 2 kids, and, you know, just, and once I'm there, then I'll be good. And I'm just sitting there thinking like, I know you think that, but it's not true, because the thing that makes us human is we all want to be a little bit more than we currently are. And as soon as you have that thing, you're just going to be on to the next thing, whether it's, okay, you have all the money you want. Now you're going to work on your relationships, you know, or you worked on your relationships. Now that's where you want it to be. And you're going to work on your hobby. You know, it's like, we're constantly going to want more. So I was sitting there just paying attention to that. And I'm like, I know I'm taking my own advice right now, because that feeling that he's holding on to until he has his pontoon, I got at Fleece and Thank You that day, and I recognized it, and I sat and thanked myself for recognizing it, and I had a bunch of gratitude, and, you know, I thought it's like I'm doing that thing right now, and it's events like yours that help me realize that.
Appreciate that. Powerful.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man, very much.
any final words or thoughts on the conversation we've had, some of the highlights, lasting thoughts for someone that's catching the end of this that says, I'm inspired already, and close it out strong, Devin?
I'll close with this a fitness guy, I guess, since I'm a gym owner.
Sure.
So the more and more people we talk to at fitness consultations, the more it becomes apparent that we kind of all know exactly what we need to do to live our best life, at least to a certain extent. We know the direction we should be walking, and we're always looking for a shortcut. Like, I don't want to walk that far. If there's a chance I could cross right here and get there sooner.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just encourage people to, keep walking the direction you know you should be walking. Do the things you know you should be doing. Avoid the things that make you feel terrible to the best of your extent, or to the best of your ability, but make your own sacrifices. Like, you choose your own sacrifices. So if health and fitness is not something you've been able to make part of your life right now, try and think about, okay, in 20 years from now, if you stay on the exact same path you're on, what is the quality of your life? Because maybe you can't work towards something right now, but if you kind of picture the path you're on and it stays the same, how that could be detrimental to your health, maybe you can run away from that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't always have to be running towards something, but you can kind of picture, if I stay on this current path, where am I going? And then once you see that picture, you can say, okay, that scares me a little. I'm doing this, this, and this. Maybe I should change those things, And so I would just encourage people to really pay attention and make your own sacrifices, so you can start having that feeling we talked about right now. Because you don't have to lose 50 pounds to feel accomplishment. You can just say no to a cookie once, and you can feel that a little bit. And eventually, over time, those things build on each other. And you don't know. We will underestimate what we can do in 1 year, and we'll overestimate what we can do in 1 year, but we tend to underestimate what we can do in 3 to 5. And
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that to be true. And I've seen it with hundreds of clients, the ones that just stay the course and keep paying attention. 5 years later, you see them and their whole life is different. And so every single person can do that. You just got to pay close attention and allow yourself to celebrate the small things along the way.
Awesome, man. I love it. Good shout there.
So, yeah.
So we've been talking today and making a blanket with Devin Tarrant from Applied Fitness Solutions, owner there, operates the Plymouth location. Awesome community at AFS. Love what they do. They've been massive supporters of the work that we do at Fleece and Thank You. Like I said, over 300 blankets alone from just the Plymouth location.
What was the
AFS.
world record day?
2017 blankets.
Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was nuts. And
That's
AFS
crazy,
Rochester was a huge part of that. I mean, Nate just crushed it, helping us with promotion, with video. The AFS community was there from start to finish. They did a workout before the event.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we were there till the bitter end, and it was like half AFS people there.
That's awesome.
It was awesome. So we're indebted to AFS, to all the locations. Just your whole community rocks. So thanks for what
Thank
you
you.
do. Thanks for the
course.
support. We're excited to keep working together
Yeah, us
on
too,
saving the
man.
world and comforting kids. And if you guys are in the Plymouth area, stop in, check out Devin. He's got a sweet hanging garden inside. So if you go for
Yeah.
any reason, go to see that.
Sure.
And have a chat. And thanks for the message today on Don't Wait. Give yourself permission to feel that joy, and live life every day to the fullest. So we appreciate it, man.
Yeah, me too. Thank you very much, dude.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you having me.